Welcome back to Awakening the Spiritual Mind. My name is Elisabeth Carrio, your host. In this episode, we are going to close part 2 of the journey and open the door to part 3, the turning point. And I like to close part 2 with a passage from my book itself. What we have just closed is more than a section of a book. It's a full cycle of understanding. In part 2, you explored the inner architecture of your being, how thoughts, emotions, and patterns form your sense of self. You discovered the symbolic systems that mirror this complexity, the archetypes that move through you, the astrology that reflects your cycles, the Kabbalistic tree that maps your consciousness, and you learn that the journey toward awakening is not about self-improvement. It is about self-knowledge, seeing clearly what has been shaping you from the inside out. You began to recognize the invisible stories that guide your reactions, the belief loops that run beneath awareness, and the way culture itself reinforces those patterns. Through this exploration, understanding became illumination. You saw that your inner and outer worlds are reflections of one another. That transformation begins the moment you stop blaming circumstances and start listening to the deeper movement within. Part 2 was about mapping. It gave you language, insight, and perspective. But maps are not the territory. They prepare you to walk it. And now, as we cross the threshold into part 3, that is exactly what we will do. Move from comprehension to embodiment, from theory to practice, from idea of transformation to his life experience. Let's step together into part 3, the turning point.
Part 3, the turning point. By now, you have explored the inner terrain of your psyche. You have come to understand how your personality, archetypes, astrological patterns, and spiritual traditions shape your way of being in the world. You have begun to ask more honest questions. You have listened beneath the surface of your persona. You have sensed the call to something deeper than performance or identity. What comes next is not more information, it is transformation. This third part of the journey marks a threshold, not an ending, but a crossing. The insights gathered so far must now become lived experience. You are no longer merely discovering who you are being invited to embody it. Here the work becomes quieter, subtler, and more radical. This is the alchemical phase, the turning point where doing gives way to being, where fixing gives way to listening, and where the persona yields to presence. You will not be given formulas. You will be asked to feel. You will be guided not by prescriptions, but by inner resonance. This section invites you to slow down, to make contact with your own intuitive knowing. You will begin to recognize the difference between inherited beliefs and inner truth. You will learn to trust the voice that speaks without noise, the one that waits patiently beneath your thoughts. Each chapter is a step deeper into stillness, honesty, and spiritual integrity. You will learn to dismantle internal patterns that no longer serve you and sense the shape of your next evolution, not through striving, but through attunement. This is the sacred pause between what has been and what could be. The turning point is not about becoming someone new. It is about remembering who you have always been. Welcome. I had trained in so many methods, but one day, faced with an important decision, I closed the books and stopped seeking advice. I sat down. In silence, I waited. A clarity came, gentle and steady. It wasn't the voice of reason nor of fear. It was something else, a deeper memory, my intuition. Since then, I never move forward without it.
What we just heard marks a crossing. Up to now, you have been exploring from within, mapping the mind. tracing your emotional roots, questioning your stories. But now the journey begins to turn. It becomes quiet, deeper, more intimate. The turning point is not a dramatic event. It is usually subtle, a shift in gravity. Where you once sought answers, you now start listening. Where you try to fix, you begin to feel. Where you reach outward, you turn inward and realize that the same light you were searching for has been waiting all along inside your own awareness. This part of a journey asks for expansion. It asks for trust. You are not longer collecting knowledge. You are embodying it. The alchemist called this phase the rubedo, the redeeming, when the inner fire awakens and turns inside into lived experience. So as we enter part 3, take a breath. Notice the energy in your body. Maybe a quiet readiness, maybe a touch of resistance. Both are signs that something real is unfolding. From here, you are invited to live what you know, to allow the silence to teach, to let the wisdom you've gathered become movement in your choices, in your relationships, in how you meet the world. This is a turning point. Not doing more, but being more true. So now take your awakening journal or your book note and take a few moments to write. What insight from part 2 feels more alive in me now? Where do I sense a turning point, beginning not outside, but within? What would it mean to slow down and listen rather than to push forward? Thank you for listening to Awakening the Spiritual Mind. In the next episode, we begin the practice of integration, learning how silence, presence, and inner listening can guide transformation.